Today I want to take a little bit of time to talk about where you should stay before your Disney cruise, specifically if you're going out of Port Canaveral. I have gone on 7 Disney cruises from Port Canaveral, and we have tried different places to stay ahead of time. Our very first Disney cruise, we stayed at Port Orleans Riverside and took Disney Cruise Transportation to the port. Then the next time we tried the Hyatt Hotel at the MCO Airport. There's a Hyatt Hotel, and we did Disney Cruise Transportation from there as well. And then we have also tried recently going to Cocoa Beach and staying there, and then you only have a short distance to go to the port. And then the other thing that I know people do that we have not tried is you can also stay off-site, like not at a Disney resort, not at the hotel airport, but maybe just, and not at Cocoa Beach, but maybe just close to the airport. I know some people do that, and then they'll take a shuttle back to the airport, and then they take Disney Cruise Transportation from the airport. So I just want to spend a little bit of time today talking about some of the pros and cons of where to stay and getting to the port. I do think the Hyatt Hotel has a place. I think if you're getting in really late at night and you're just gonna be super tired, you don't wanna go anywhere else and take the effort to get to the Disney hotel, and you just wanna get there and hunker down in your hotel, it's very convenient. So I do think that is a great option for some people. When we stayed, I booked a hotel and I thought I got the room overlooking the airplanes, and I didn't. So we actually were looking into the airport. And while that sounds interesting, I love people watching. They don't allow you on the balconies right now. I don't know if that'll always be the case, but I just felt like a little claustrophobic being in the hotel without a window to the outside. And I mean, I've even stayed on the Disney Star Cruiser where we didn't have windows to the outside. It looked out at space. That didn't bother me, but for some reason, looking in, I did not like that. So I felt like, it just felt weird. Like we went down and got some food at the airport actually to eat dinner. I think there's actually a restaurant in the Hyatt Hotel as well that you can eat at. It is a nice hotel, but it's not cheap. So that's the thing. I feel like if you're gonna stay there, and it makes sense because you don't wanna, especially if you're getting in late at night, sure, but I would recommend staying where you can look out, have a window to the outside. That's just my personal preference. It might not bother everybody. But if you do stay at that airport hotel, it is kind of expensive. So honestly, you could stay at a Disney resort and it would be maybe even the same price, depending on which hotel you get. So it might be a little bit more, or you could probably even get a hotel with a similar price if you stayed at a moderate. And the reason I like staying at a Disney resort is I just feel like it adds an extra day on of Disney. So we can go over to Disney Springs, we can try out a new Disney hotel, we can eat at a Disney restaurant maybe we've never eaten at before because it's at that hotel we've never been at. For example, this next upcoming trip, we're actually gonna stay at Old Key West before our cruise, and we've never done that. Our last cruise on Disney Wish, we stayed at the Disney Polynesian Island Tower. So it's just a really great way to try out the Disney hotels, and we love that. So for me, we just prefer that. So the other thing that we've done is we've also stayed near the port. So we've stayed at near Cocoa Beach, and there's a lot of hotels near there, and that can be nice because then you only have a 10-minute drive to get to the port in the morning. You do all that work the day before. If you really want a day at the beach ahead of time, that can be really nice. When we went, we were going a time of year recently where the weather wasn't great, so we didn't really get to take advantage of that beach time. So I would say that probably depends on the time of year you're going and if you think you'll really have good beach weather and if it'll be worth it to have that beach time. But having the beach time would be a great pro of staying near the port. I did like that we could see all the ships going in and out. I loved watching the ships. We could even see our ship arriving in the middle of the night going to our port. So that was pretty cool. So I would do that again, but again, it's just hard to top for me staying at Disney. I do know that some people will stay at an off-site resort near the Hyatt. So maybe they don't want to pay the prices of the Hyatt that's at MCO Airport. So they'll stay at a hotel near, and sometimes there's even like a free shuttle or it's a real short trip. And then they'll just shuttle back to the MCO Airport and take that transportation, the Disney Cruise transportation from MCO. And that was, that way you're not having to stay at the airport hotel. So that's another option as well. We've never done that, but I know that other people do that. You can take Disney Cruise transportation from the Disney Hotel or from the airport. And most people, I would say, are not going to be like flying in and going out the same day. You could do that. But if you're staying at the hotel or at the Disney resort, the Disney Cruise transportation works very similarly. Number one, you get an automatic boarding group that's really early, so that's nice. And they do take your luggage, and so you do need to have that out. They'll tell you like the night before when you arrive, they'll have instructions for you the next day of what your pickup time is and what time you need to have your luggage out. So usually you need to have your luggage out. We've had to have it out as early as like 7 a.m. sometimes. And then you have that ready for them to pick up, and then you need to be downstairs at like 8:30 for check-in, and then they pick you up, they pick up the different resorts they're getting, and then they'll take you. If you're coming just from the airport hotel, they don't have multiple stops. They're just gonna take your luggage early in the morning, and then you have to be downstairs, and then they take you directly to the port. So I don't think there's multiple stops, which is nice. But either way, right now, I don't like the uncertainty of when we have to be ready to go in the morning, because you don't know that ahead of time. And I don't want to have my luggage out super early. I want to be able to sleep in, especially if we have the kids. So we like to go to a Disney resort. We usually get breakfast at one of the places there. So maybe we'll get a breakfast at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And then we'll usually get the port transportation to pick us up around 10:30. And that will take us, we'll get our own private transportation to take us to the port. So then I know I can have a breakfast, I can try out Kona Cafe, or this time we're gonna try out Olivia's at Old Key West. And I know we'll have time because I know I've scheduled my private transportation for 10:30. And so it's okay, I can have my breakfast scheduled at 9 a.m. and then we'll take our own private transportation. We've tried Away We Go, they've been good. They have kind of like a big van. Recently we've tried a new company, MCO to Port, and I liked that we could have like a nice SUV, and so we liked that a lot. We're gonna use them again for the second time this upcoming cruise. So there's a lot of companies out there that I've seen people use, and I just think for a long trip, it's nice to have that private transportation. I'm sure you could get like an Uber or something, but we've never done that for that portion, that long portion to get to the port, because it's like over an hour drive. So we've just always had the private transportation take us. One thing when I was like super crazy, okay, so back in the day, our first Disney cruise, we actually stayed at Port Orleans Riverside, and then they did the Disney cruise transportation differently back then. You actually, if you were coming from like the Disney cruise, if you were coming from the Disney hotel, you didn't get as early a boarding time as if like you were coming from the airport. So I actually like got a ride back to the airport and then took the Disney cruise transportation from there instead of the Disney cruise transportation from the hotel, because I wanted to get on as early as possible. And I was that crazy that I like went the extra 30 minutes to go back to the back to the airport to get to the port. A little ridiculous. It made for an extra long day. And I think that was a little over the top. And now luckily that's not needed. You can get to the port plenty early coming directly from the Disney hotel. So you don't need to do all that finagling like I did. But we've even tried that. Now, if you are renting a car, I'm sure that throws in like another element. You probably want to take a look at where the parking is least expensive. I would guess if you're driving a car, you probably don't need to take the Disney cruise transportation. You can just park at your hotel and then drive to the port the next morning. So that makes it easy. I know I made a tip video I made a Disney cruise tip video, and I was talking about how I really recommend getting the Disney Cruise Transportation if you have a low Castaway Club status, because that gets you on the ship automatically early, whereas normally that's going to be based on your Castaway Club status and how early you check in, and you won't get as early a port arrival time. And so I was saying, if you don't have a high Castaway Club status, you should do Disney Cruise Transportation. I even had some people asking like, well, what if I'm driving my car? And I was like, well, in that case, like, I don't think it's worth it to like pay extra probably to get the Disney Cruise Transportation when you already have a car to take you to the port. Just get to the port. And in that case, like, it's probably not worth it to buy the Disney Cruise Transportation just for the early boarding time. Now, hey, if you want to do it, like, I'm not going to judge you. I'm crazy. I might do that. But in general, I would say, like, then just park at the port. But for everybody else, I think the reason why a lot of people are staying at the Hyatt and at Disney Hotel is because the Disney Cruise Transportation picks you up there. So I really wanted to talk about kind of the pros and cons of staying there and just what we've done in the past and what we've thought. So hopefully that helps some. If you're going on a Disney cruise, I hope you have a wonderful time. And if you have any thoughts of things I haven't thought about, I would love to hear your thoughts below. So please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more Disney cruise content.